This didn't feel like a horror story at first. It just felt like a normal trip. That's probably why we didn't notice when everything started going wrong. Honestly, this was supposed to be a normal trip. We weren't going far, just into the woods, for a couple of days, to relax, clear our heads. There were 4 of us: me, Sasha, Lena, and Igor. We'd been there before. We knew the road. We knew the place. Nothing unexpected. And I think that's exactly why we didn't pay attention to the small things. We left late, around 11 p.m. The plan was simple: drive through the night and arrive by morning. At first, everything felt normal. Music, talking, Sasha driving. Igor was telling some story about work. Lena was scrolling on her phone, and I was just looking out the window. The road was almost empty. Sometimes a car would pass. Sometimes, nothing at all. I remember the moment when something started to feel off. Not scary, just strange. We had been driving for about 2 hours, and suddenly I realized I hadn't seen a single sign in a while. No gas stations, no exits. Nothing. Just the road, and the forest on both sides. I said, "Are we sure we're going the right way?" Sasha glanced at the GPS. "Yeah, it's fine." But he didn't sound as confident as before. A few minutes later, Lena said, "I don't have internet." "I checked mine. Gone too." Igor tried opening the map. It loaded, and then froze. That's when we saw the turn. A dirt road. No signs, no markings, just leading into the forest. Sasha slowed down.
I think it's here.
"You think?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Igor said,
Let's try it. If it's wrong, we'll just turn back.
It sounded reasonable. Too reasonable. So we turned. Everything changed immediately. It got darker. The headlights only lit a narrow path ahead. The trees felt closer, thicker, like they were closing in. The music cut out, signal gone, and it became quiet when we're close or alone. The new one started once again with guard. Still, everything was going. The groupful truth about, maybe if you mean. I still worked to the face. The road was rottedly. The trees felt blowed, and it became quiet. No one talked. Not because we were scared, but because it didn't feel right to. Like the atmosphere itself was pressing down on us. I looked at the time. 2:12 a.m. A few minutes later, I checked again. 2:12 a.m. I thought maybe I just imagined it. The road got worse. Mud, rocks, deep tracks. The car was shaking. Sasha said,
This isn't the right place.
We decided to turn around, but there was no space. Trees on both sides. Too close. Lena quietly said, I don't like this. And right then, the car jerked. Sasha looked at the dashboard and froze.
We're almost empty.
I said, What do you mean empty? We filled up earlier. He shook his head.
It should have been enough.
And then, silence. But now, a different kind. Heavy. A few minutes later, the car died. Just stopped. The headlights were still on, but the engine wasn't. We just sat there. No one moved. No one spoke. And then I realized something. We couldn't hear anything. At all. No wind, no leaves, no forest sounds. Nothing. Igor was the first to speak. He looked ahead and said,
There's something there.
I looked. Far ahead, between the trees, something dark. Still. It looked like a house. At that moment, we still thought it was a good thing. We were wrong. At first, it felt like we got lucky. But now, I realized that was the moment everything became dangerous. We didn't get out of the car right away. At first, we just stared into the darkness, at that structure between the trees. It didn't look like a normal house, more like something put together from different pieces. The roof was uneven. The windows were dark. The walls looked old, but not falling apart. But the main thing there was smoke. A thin line rising from the chimney.
There are people there.
Sasha said. No one answered, but we were all thinking the same thing. This was our only chance. I didn't want to go in our lung, but the something they wanted couldn't explain why. It was just a feeling, like we were making a mistake. But staying in the car, in the middle of the forest, with no fuel, felt worse. We moved slowly. The flashlight lit the ground. Every step felt too loud, even though there was almost no sound at all, like the forest didn't want to hear us. That's when I noticed it. At first, faint, then stronger, heavy, slightly sweet, wrong. I stopped. Do you smell that? Lena nodded. Sasha said,
It's just smoke.
but he said it too quickly. The closer we got, the stranger everything looked. There was nothing around the house. No car, no stacked wood, no signs of life. And still, someone was inside. The door was slightly open. Not wide, just enough, like we were expected. We went in. Sasha first, then Igor. I followed. Lena came last. It was warm inside. Too warm. And the air felt heavy. There was only one main room, large. In the center, a table, old, wooden. On it, a bowl, with something inside. I didn't recognize it at first, and honestly, I wish I never did. He was sitting at the table, just sitting, like we hadn't just walked in, like he already knew we were there. A man, hard to tell his age. His face looked off. Not old, but not alive either. He slowly raised his head, looked at us, and said,
You got lost.
Not a question, a statement. Sasha started explaining about the car, the fuel, the road, but the man didn't react. He just watched, carefully, one by one, like he was studying us. Then I heard something, behind me, from another room. I turned. There was someone else, and another. They didn't fully step out. They just stood there, watching. Lena whispered, We need to go. And that's when I realized we couldn't just turn around and leave. I looked around again, and then I saw it. In the corner, a pile. Backpacks, clothes, bottles, too many, way too many. Those weren't his. They were left behind. I asked, Have other people been here? The man smiled, just slightly, and said,
Yes.
He wasn't aggressive, didn't shout, didn't move suddenly. And somehow, that made it worse. He was too calm, like everything was already decided. He looked at the table, at the bowl, and said,
You must be hungry.
And in that moment, I understood. Not logically, not clearly, but somewhere deeper. I said, We need to leave. Now. Sasha understood immediately. But as we started backing toward the door, they moved. Not fast, not suddenly, just one step forward. And then the man said,
Don't rush.
And for the first time, his voice changed, colder, heavier. That was the moment we stopped thinking about getting help and started thinking about getting out alive. That's when we realized we weren't guests. We were something else. No one said run, but we all understood it. At the same time, I grabbed Lena's hand. Sasha was already reaching for the door. And in that moment, everything slowed down. They didn't rush us, didn't shout. They just started walking, calmly, like they already knew we weren't getting away. We ran, into the dark, into the forest. The flashlight dropped, the light went out, and suddenly we could barely see anything. We ran blindly, tripping, falling, getting back up. I could hear Lena breathing, Sasha breaking branches ahead, and somewhere behind us, footsteps. They weren't running, and that was the worst part, because it meant they weren't afraid of losing us. I looked back. Igor was behind us, falling behind. "Faster!" I shouted. He tried, but something was wrong. He tripped, fell, and that was enough. The shadows closed in, too fast. I didn't see it clearly, just movement. Sheps. He didn't scream. He didn't scared. He just looked at us and said,
Don't come back.
Sasha grabbed me, pulled hard. "Run!" And we ran, without turning back. But the sound, I still heard it. Not a scream, not words, something worse. We ran for a long time, too long, until we saw light, headlights, a road, a real one. We ran onto the road, right in front of a car. It slammed the brakes. People got out, started asking questions. I couldn't speak. We told them everything. They didn't believe us at first, but they still went back, with us. We drove back, in daylight, and I was sure we would find it. But there was nothing. No house, no road, no traces. They said, "You got lost." Panic, hallucinations. But we knew. Months passed. We stopped talking about it, even with each other. Like if we didn't say it out loud, it would disappear. But one day, Sasha sent me a message, a photo. He was on that same road, during the day. The picture showed the forest, normal, quiet. But between the trees, there was something. A house, the same one. But that wasn't the worst part. In front of it, there was someone standing, and I recognized him instantly. It was Igor. He was standing by the door, looking at the road, like he was waiting. We thought we escaped, but some places don't let you leave. They just change your place.